Secretary of State, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dick. Thank you. Happy New Year to everyone, and I want to start by thanking you, Tim. So where does post-Brexit Britain fit into this picture? Well, we need to begin with a realistic assessment of our global position. And that means not overstating our strength, but not underestimating it either. We're not a superpower, and we don't have an empire. But we do have the fifth largest economy in the world, the second biggest military budget in NATO, the third biggest overseas aid budget, one of the two largest financial centres, the global language, highly effective intelligence services, and a world-class diplomatic network, including permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. We also have immense reserves of soft power, with 3 of the world's top 10 universities, 450,000 students from overseas in our higher education system, 39 million visits by tourists in 2017, and a global audience for our media, especially the BBC, measured in the hundreds of millions. Most importantly, in a world where it's rarely possible for one country to achieve its ambitions alone, we have some of the best connections of any country, whether through the Commonwealth, our alliance with the United States, or our friendship with our neighbours in Europe. And these connections mean that in this part of the world, Britain is amongst only a handful of European countries with an embassy or a high commission in every member of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And later this year, we'll open a new mission to ASEAN headquarters in Jakarta as we seek to strengthen our relationship with ASEAN after we leave the EU.
What is your personal read of how Brexit will play out, and what are the possibilities of...
Now, Britain is already the biggest European investor in Southeast Asia, with ASEAN trade of nearly £37 billion and over 4,000 British companies employing more than 50,000 people in Singapore alone. And those connections are why Britain's post-Brexit role should be to act as an invisible chain linking together the democracies of the world, those countries which share our values and support our belief in free trade, the rule of law, and open societies. That doesn't mean being dogmatic or forcing our values on others. And of course, we recognise that every country is different. But it does mean speaking out for those fundamental principles to our friends, as well as to those who set themselves up in opposition to them.
Of a second referendum and also or a no-deal Brexit?
We have to remember that a no-deal Brexit would cause disruption that could last some time. But even if you are someone who believes that Britain will flourish and prosper, whatever that disruption might be, that is not something that any government should willingly wish upon its people. But a second referendum would be also incredibly damaging in a different way, because we are a democracy. We've been given our instructions by the British people. They've asked us to leave the European Union, and they're expecting us to get on with that. And if we went back to them and asked their opinion a second time, they would say, well, you guys aren't listening to us. And you're going to ask us a third time or a fourth time until you get the answer you want. And if that's the case, then that's not a democracy at all. So the social consequences in one of the oldest democracies in the world of not going ahead and leaving the EU on the 29th of March, as we've been instructed to do, would be devastating. But that is not to say we mustn't reach out to the 48% of the country who didn't want to vote to leave the EU, and we must show them that the Brexit that we get is going to not be a Brexit where we pull up the drawbridge. It's not going to be a Brexit where we close ourselves off to the world, which is what many of them have worried about. It's going to be an open, positive, outward-looking, optimistic Brexit. And I think if we can deliver that type of Brexit, we can bring the country together.
Thank you. I'm Deborah Haynes from Sky News. Do you think that Britain is going to be able to secure...
When Theresa May comes back with those reassurances that she's been seeking from the EU, that the deal that is on the table is not going to lead to us being permanently trapped in the customs union against the will of the British people, I think that she will find a way to get this deal through Parliament, and I know that's what the British people would want.
At negotiating an FTA with ASEAN as a regional bloc, and also will you consider joining the CPTPP?